We frequently hear that 20% of men and 80% of women follow suit. The informal 80/20th rule is as follows: if you can join that group. After that, women will begin approaching you and waiting for you to propose. I was in this situation when I was in my early 20s and in high school. In my classrooms, women would simply sit next to me and offer their assistance while I worked. It wasn't hard to be one of the 20% of desirable men at the time. You only need to dress stylishly, work out, look cute, and avoid making a fool of yourself. If you had a car, you were pretty much set even if you boarded from your father. I hadn't worked out in about 10 years, and I wasn't as stylish or cute as I had been in the past. So when I ended my last long-term relationship, the game had completely changed. Additionally, women were now pursuing financially secure men. I realized that I had dropped out of the 80-20 hierarchy. I realized that I had to take my path if I wanted to get back into bodybuilding and work on myself. It would take time and cost me valuable time away from my personal development goals. Additionally, I was unable to pursue a long-term relationship, so I had to find a different activity to engage in. The 80/20th rule is nothing more than the male competition for female partners in reproduction. Since men and women both use birth control, trying to pass on your genes is pointless right now, which is the main problem with this. You can get to have a lot, but you also have to worry about being accused falsely, getting related diseases, and being emotionally abused. Additionally, you must enter a relationship, and the risks are simply insurmountable. Once you realize this, you can live your life to the fullest for yourself and let other men handle the temptations of modern women. You believe it's a good thing because most of you have never actually been in a group of desirable men. But you don't know that just because girls like you don't mean the girls you want in your life will like you back, or coming up to you and trying to get your attention. For some reason, the most attractive men fall for the most attractive women. They'd probably just go for it because they think they have nothing to lose. Additionally, if you're an upper-class man, you're always expected to turn down undesirable women. Just when you think you have eliminated 1, 3, or 4 more appear. They might be bigger. Nearly always, the women you don't want to date will approach you at work. No matter the man's social standing, they expect to be charmed and entertained. The majority of dating websites and experts follow the 80/20th rule when it comes to dating in a relationship, that you only need 20% of what you want in a partner. As a result, the 80-20 rule, which is also known as the 80-20 principle in some circles, states that the typical campus of a high school or college has approximately 80% male students and 20% female students. This rule is derived from the Pareto principle. This is the idea that 20% of the causes are to blame for 80% of the effects. As a result, a society in which 20% of men claim to be content because they are constantly getting is the result. However, the main problem is that most men must always be in a relationship for a civilization to survive for a long time. As a result, the men are not constantly at each other's throats trying to get the women and their attention. They have effectively stopped competing with one another. Every man who marries has access to reproduction in this form of communism. We have effectively returned to a pre-civilized mating game by dissolving the marriage contract and the social contract associated with it. Before civilization, only about 20% of men held the majority of the most women who are of reproductive age are perfectly content to have children with alpha males without restrictions. However, they frequently choose a man when they reach a dead end, panicking. That is probably the only occasion when many of the men who make up the 80% of undesirables will get their hands on a golden female. The 80/20th rule and the reason why 80% of women are older than 20% of men were discussed in a post on Reddit. What Susan Walsh has to say about it, which she wrote down, is as follows. How do you feel about guys who get with a lot of girls? Was the question posed to Walsh when she was asked about how relationships are changing on college campuses. Do you think that they are a waste of time? One of Walsh's observations is a system in which high-status men, like the football captain, have an official girlfriend and a rotating roster of girls who serve him in the ballroom or any place where beer is available. There was more mating in the past. She explains that while a 5 would date a 5, a 6 wants to have the hottest guy on campus for a night. Susan Walsh thinks that way. Additionally, these women will continue to pursue the alpha males long after they graduate from college and enter their turbulent 20s, which is frightening. They will initially result in a large number of resentful and irate men in our society. However, in the end, those men, the majority of whom are genuine powerless types, will accept their fate and live independently. However, birth rates will continue to decline and civilization will eventually destabilize unless we develop novel technological solutions. Because in their natural state before agriculture or industrialization, the majority of women will never choose to date on their own. If the majority of women meet the best men, our species will survive. By providing a wife to each man who desired one, we were able to successfully persuade men to give up their jobs in factories and fields for a golden reward. However, its significance decreases in the service economy. The untamed spirits of women are free. Also, giving women the alpha male's carrot right in front of them was the best way to get them to work as teachers and serve coffee. However, automation will soon also take over service jobs. As a result, societies will need to devise a more effective method for encouraging individuals to prepare for any new reality that emerges. No pun intended. The social norms that have existed since the beginning of civilization are based on the kinds of labor that our rulers and industrial capitalists demanded. In addition, I do not believe that it will ever be possible to stop 80% of women from chasing 20% of men. When it comes to reproduction, women place a higher value on quality than quantity, while men place a higher value on quantity than quality. Unless we alter our DNA, there is nothing we can do about it. Unless we impose some kind of laws. Laws will always favor women, as evidenced by the fact that at least 51% of voters are women. The following is yet another really interesting quote from the Reddit article I mentioned earlier. The S3X of changing gender identity, in which young men and women come together in fumbling drunken couplings, fueled less by loss than by the vague sense of social conformity, appear to have broken the ERO promises of the 1960 revolution. This is a quote from the earlier Reddit article. I can't help but wonder if the increase in watching adult videos was aided by this collective demonetization. People, isn't that fascinating? However, the rise in adult content may have been influenced by the falling coupling between men and women. After all, if women believe that the majority of men are reproductively unstable or unattractive, their only options may be to spend time in an X-rated theater or read a Hustler magazine. Women frequently criticize adult videos, but their natural desire to only date the best men may be the real reason for their rise. Women are frequently compared to cats by Coach Corey Wayne. They do what they want, but men who do what they want will be treated like dogs and humiliated. The root of the meetup culture, in which copulation occurs outside of relationships, is women's acceptance of men being shared by multiple women. Most women want hot men. In addition, the majority of influential men anticipate that positions will be filled by women. Men have essentially been left out of the market over the past few decades. In this brand new dystopia of the marketplace, who suffers the most? Automation and loneliness, the true force, are currently at odds. If technology can replace these men and render them obsolete, what are they supposed to do with their lives? I have previously discussed the reduction caused by automation. However, work is not the primary source of motivation for the majority of people. Instead, the availability of reproduction and cohabitation is the primary driving force behind society as a whole. As long as women are allowed to have children with anyone they choose, they will continue to work, pay taxes, and receive as many government benefits as they can, and eventually render the system insolvent. On the other hand, if we develop technologies that eliminate the majority of human labor, what will be the primary incentive for those without the curative copulate to promote innovation and masculinity in men. The majority of men become supple and weak, which is precisely the type of man that women do not want. Additionally, women are compelled to seek employment outside the home and obtain an education when they do not have a male household partner. In addition, when their intelligence reaches an excessive level, they become unmanageable. They also search for educated men. Additionally, there are fewer of those men. If I could re-engineer the human species, I would prefer to give women the same urges as men. I would give them the mental faculties and emotional abilities of men, which would give us a truer sense of equality and force women to seek out copulation for men rather than just resources, as well as make them less selective in their mate selection. Everyone would also be happier if women's standards were lowered biologically. Sadly, that is nothing more than wishful thinking. In addition, when automation increases job losses, it is more likely that androids and other male outlets will keep men in a trance. However, women will continue to seek male attention because the majority of men will not interact with them when a robot does not nag. Currently, men are discriminated against by the 80/20th rule, but this could change in the future. As opposed to 80% of women seeking out 20% of men, it will be more likely that 100% of women will seek out 2% of men. Instead, there may be a man shortage because men who deal with women will almost certainly be compensated. In regards to host bars and the payment of male hosts, that is precisely what we are seeing in Japan. Additionally, there will be a severe shortage of male orbiters who offer free resources and attention to women in such a situation. Men will collectively say to women, "Get lost."